I knew something was wrong the moment Ethan came home early. Not that he never came home early. He did, sometimes when surgeries got canceled or clinic hours ran short. But there was a particular quality to his silence tonight. The way he set his keys in the bowl. The way he didn't call out Nina, like he always did, even when he knew I was in the kitchen. The way he stood in the doorway of our living room, still wearing his white coat, and looked at me like I was already a stranger. What happened? I asked, setting down the takeout container I'd been eating from. Is it a patient? Did someone? Chloe's cat is back. I blinked. Chloe's what? Her cat, he repeated. Her name is Luna. She was in the vet for 3 weeks. She came home today. I set down my fork. Ethan, I'm going to need more context here. Chloe's cat has been at the vet? Since when? She has a cat. He rubbed the back of his neck, a gesture I'd learned to read over 15 years of marriage. IT meant he was about to say something he didn't think I'd like. She had her at my clinic. I didn't mention it because, well, I didn't think it mattered. Didn't think it mattered. The word sat between us like a live grenade. Chloe was his surgical resident, 28 years old, fresh out of fellowship, and she'd been working directly under him for 18 months. I knew her name because I'd seen it on his phone 100 times. I knew her face because she smiled at me a little too brightly whenever I brought Ethan lunch at the hospital. I knew she made him laugh in ways I hadn't heard him laugh in years. And apparently, she had a cat she'd entrusted to my husband's care, and he'd been hiding it from me. Okay, I said slowly. So, Luna is back. What does that have to do with us? He sat down across from me at the kitchen island. The gray at his temples seemed more pronounced in the dim light. At 42, Ethan was still the most handsome man I'd ever seen. Broad shoulders, steady hands, those dark eyes that used to look at me like I was the only woman in the world. But tonight, those eyes were fixed somewhere past my shoulder. I want a divorce. I laughed. I actually laughed. It came out before I could stop it, sharp and disbelieving. Ethan, that's not funny. I asked a serious question. What's going on with Chloe's cat? I'm serious. His voice was flat, stripped of emotion. I want a divorce. I've been thinking about it for months. Chloe's cat just clarified things for me. Clarified what? That you want to run off with a woman who owns a cat? I was still smiling, but my chest was starting to tighten. Because if you think I'm the kind of person who'd have a problem with pets, you got the wrong wife. Did I love cats till we had a cat? Remember Mr. Whiskers? I cried for 3 weeks when he died. It's not about the cat. Then what is it about? He exhaled slowly. The sound was controlled, deliberate, the same way he breathed before delivering bad news to a patient's family. She's happy, Nina, Chloe. She's single. She has a life. She has a cat that she loves and that loves her back. And when I watched her pick Luna up from the clinic today, I realized I don't remember the last time I felt that kind of happiness or saw you feel it. I sat back in my chair. So you're telling me you want to end our marriage because our resident has a cat and she seems, what, well-adjusted? I'm telling you I want to end our marriage because I think we'd both be happier if we were single. The words landed like a punch to my solar plexus. I forced myself to breathe. Ethan, we've been together for 17 years, 17 years. You asked me to marry you when we were 22. We have a life, a good life. This isn't, you can't just... I know. He reached across the island, his hand hovering over mine, but not quite touching. I know what I'm asking, but I've been thinking about it every day for months, and I realized something. I don't think you're happy either, Nina. I think you've been going through the motions we both have. I stared at him. The words felt rehearsed, like he'd practiced this speech in front of a mirror. What happened to you till death do us part? Was that just a line? I meant it when I said it. His voice cracked, just slightly. I mean it now, too, but I can't keep pretending. Pretending what? Pretending we're still the people we were when we got married. I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. No, N-O, you don't get to do this. You don't get to ambush me in our kitchen with cat philosophy and pretend like this is some kind of mutual decision. I haven't been going through the motions. I've been here. I've been your wife. I've been showing up every single day while you're at the hospital saving lives, and I stopped and my voice was too loud, too shaky. I hated the way it sounded. The way I probably looked, with my hair in a messy ponytail and my old college sweatshirt and takeout containers from the Chinese place we'd been ordering from since our first apartment. I looked pathetic, and I knew he could see it. I haven't been happy either, I said finally quieter. But that's not the same as wanting to be single. That's the same as wanting to fix things. Wanting you to try. Chloe's cat. If you mention that goddamn cat one more time, I will throw my phone at your head. He actually flinched. That surprised me. Ethan never flinched. I took a breath. Just tell me the truth. Is there someone else? Is it Chloe? Because I can take the truth. I've earned the truth. He looked at me for a long moment. His eyes were wet. There's no one else, he said. There never has been. And that's not meant to be reassuring. That's part of the problem. What does that even mean? It means I love you. I love you, but I don't think I'm in love with you. Not the way I used to be. And I think maybe you're not in love with me either. You're just what? Comfortable. You're comfortable. And I'm the only thing you've ever known. The silence that followed was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. When I was 8 years old, my mother took me to a birthday party where they had one of those bouncy castles. I was too small to keep up with the older kids, and I got pushed out of the way and landed hard on my tailbone. For a few seconds, I couldn't breathe. The air had been completely knocked out of my lungs, and all I could do was lie there, staring at the ceiling, waiting for something to happen. That's what this felt like. Airless. Weightless. Watching the ceiling from 8 feet down. Get out, I whispered. Nina, get out. Now. Before I say something I can't take back. He stood. He walked past me to the front door, his footsteps too quiet, too careful. He paused with his hand on the doorknob. I'm sorry, he said. I'm sorry it took me this long to be honest. And then he was gone. I didn't cry immediately. That's the thing about shock. It gives you a buffer, a few precious minutes where your brain just processes information without attaching any emotion to it. The emotional part comes later, like a wave that's been building offshore and finally crashes onto the beach. I walked into our bedroom and sat on the edge of the B-E-D-M-Y side of the bed, the side with the faded dent in the pillow where my head had rested for 15 years. Ethan's side was still perfect. Smooth sheets, pillow fluffed, like nobody had ever slept there at all. That was the moment the wave hit. I remember thinking, asterisk, I can't fall apart, did I have to be strong, did I have to call someone? Asterisk, and then I remember falling onto the bed, face first into the comforter, and making a sound that I'd never made before, something between a sob and a scream, muffled by the fabric. I called Joy. She picked up on the second ring. Nina, it's 9 p.m. Are you okay? No, I choked out. No, I'm not. Ethan he told me he wants a... Breathe. Breathe, okay? Where are you? Home. In bed. He just left. Did he hurt you? Her voice went sharp. Did he? No. I couldn't say it. The word divorce felt like a foreign object in my mouth. He wants to end things. He says he hasn't been happy. Says he thinks I haven't been happy either. What did you say? I told him to get out. I couldn't look at him, Joy. I couldn't. Okay, I'm coming over. Don't move. Don't do anything. Just stay right where you are. Stay where I am, I repeated. That's all I ever do. Joy was at my door in 20 minutes. She lived across town, but she drove like the devil was behind her. When I opened the door, she wrapped her arms around me and didn't let go until my breathing evened out. Did he mention someone else? She asked, leading me to the couch. Did he say there was another woman? He said there wasn't. He said that was part of the problem, that he loves me, but he's not in love with me. Bullshit. Joy's face was hard. Men don't just wake up one day and decide they're done. Something happened. Something changed. That resident he's been working with, Chloe. You told me about her. You told me she's been around a lot. Ethan says there's nothing going on. Of course he says that. Do you believe him? I wanted to believe him, that I'd spent 17 years believing him, but that was the thing about being married to a doctor. You learn to read the subtle signs. The way his voice gets just slightly higher when he's not telling the whole truth. The way he rubs the back of his neck when he's uncomfortable. The way he couldn't quite meet my eyes when he said there was no one else. I don't know, I admitted. I don't know what to believe anymore. The next day, I went to the hospital. Not to confront him. At least, that's what I told myself, that I went because I needed to see for myself, that I needed to see his face, that I needed to see if he looked wrecked the way I was wrecked. I needed to see if he was capable of feeling anything. I knew the building like the back of my hand. I'd walked these corridors 1,000 times, bringing him forgotten lunch, picking him up after late shifts, meeting him for quick dinners in the hospital cafeteria when he was on call. I knew the nurses by name, that I knew the head of cardiology, that I knew the best spot in the parking lot for a quick kiss after a long day. I knew everything about this hospital, except apparently the relationship my husband had with the resident in surgical oncology. When I got to the 5th floor, I didn't go straight to his office. I hung back by the nurse's station, pretending to check my phone. And that's when I saw them. Chloe was at the station, leaning over the counter, talking to Ethan. He was looking down at her, one hand resting on the counter, the other holding a small pink thermos, a thermos I'd never seen before. He was laughing at something she said, a low, warm laugh that I used to be the only person who heard. And then she handed him a wrap sandwich, and he took it like it was the most natural thing in the world. I stood there for 30 seconds, maybe a minute, long enough for Chloe to look up and see me watching. She smiled, that same bright, too wide smile she always gave me, and said something to Ethan. He turned, and when he saw me, the warmth drained from his face like water from a cracked glass. He walked toward me, leaving Chloe at the station. Nina, what are you doing here? I could ask you the same question, I said. What was that? The thermos? The sandwich? Chloe brought me lunch. She does that sometimes. I pay her back. You pay her back, I repeated, for bringing you food. The food that your wife usually brings you. But I guess that stopped being a thing, right? I guess I stopped mattering. Nina, I didn't. You know what don't. I held up a hand. I came here because I wanted to see if you looked as awful as I felt. And you don't. You look fine. You look great, actually. You're laughing and joking and getting lunch from your resident like nothing happened. And my voice cracked. That tells me everything I needed to know. I turned to leave, but he caught my arm. Nina, please, let me explain. There's nothing to explain. I pulled away. You made yourself very clear last night. You're not in love with me. So why do you care what I see or don't see? He opened his mouth, but no words came out. I walked away. I didn't look back. The next few weeks were a blur of paperwork and boxes. Ethan moved out. He'd found a place near the hospital, a small apartment. Nothing permanent, he said. He'd take some of his things, leave the rest. He wanted me to keep the house, keep the cars. Keep everything. He said it was the least he could do. You didn't do anything, I said flatly when he came to collect his clothes. You're not giving me anything. You're just leaving and you want to feel better about it. Nina, I don't want your pity. I don't want your charity. I shoved a box of his books into his chest. Just take your things and go. He left the thermos on the counter, the pink one. I smashed it against the wall. Joy started dragging me out of the house on weekends. You need to see other people, she said. Not romantically, just other people. You can't sit in that house by yourself every night. Other people make me sad, I said. Other people remind me that Ethan would rather be single than be with me. That's not. Joy, I know what you're trying to do, and I appreciate it, but I'm not ready to be around people. I'm not ready to be around anyone. Okay, She nodded. Okay, then can we at least watch a movie? A terrible one. The worst one you can find. Something with explosions and no romance. I agreed to that. We watched 3 movies that night. All of them had happy endings. I cried through every single one. I didn't start drinking until week 4. Not because I was an alcoholic. I'd never been much of a drinker. Honestly, got a glass of wine at dinner. Maybe a cocktail at a party. But one night, when the house was too quiet and the bed was too big and I couldn't stop replaying the conversation in the kitchen, I opened the bottle of whiskey we'd bought for our 10th anniversary. We'd never opened it. I told myself it was just one drink to take the edge off, one drink to make it possible to fall asleep. It turned into 3, and then 5, and then I stopped counting. The next thing I knew, my phone was ringing and Ethan's name was on the screen. I answered it. I don't know why. Maybe the whiskey. Maybe the loneliness. Maybe I just wanted to hear his voice. Nina. He sounded alarmed. Are you okay? You called me. I didn't call you. I squinted at my phone. Wait. No. I dialed your number. I didn't press call, though. I just looked at it. I was looking at it. Nina, it's 2 a.m. Are you drunk? Maybe. I laughed. A horrible, unsteady sound. Does it matter? You don't love me. You said so yourself. You want to be single. Single and happy. And I'm... What? You're what? I'm not. The word came out broken. I'm not happy. Ethan, I'm not anything. I'm just here to die on this house. With all your things. All your books. Your coffee mugs. The stupid thermos that I smashed against the wall, which I regret because I can still see the pieces in the morning when I walk into the kitchen, and I feel like... Nina, please stop. Stop drinking. Do you have someone there? Can you call Joy? I don't need anyone, but I don't need you. I pulled myself upright, gripping the counter for balance. You left. You chose to leave. S.O. Don't call me like you care. Don't pretend like you're worried about me. You made your choice. I didn't want to hurt you. Then what did you want? Long pause. I could hear him breathing on the other end of the line. I wanted us both to be happy, he said finally. And I didn't know how to make that happen while we were still together. Bullshit. The word came out sharp. You wanted to be free. You wanted to be single. That's what you said, Ethan. You said you wanted to be single so you could feel happy. Like Chloe's cat. Nina. I have to go. I reached for the whiskey bottle again. I have to go, and I don't want to talk to you again. So don't call me. Don't text me. Don't. My voice broke again. Don't pretend I exist. I hung up, and then I smashed the phone against the wall, too. The next morning, Joy found me on the floor of the kitchen, surrounded by glass and whiskey and the remains of my marriage. She didn't yell at me. She didn't even lecture me. She just cleaned up the mess, made me coffee, and sat with me while I cried. Something has to change, she said quietly. You can't keep doing this to yourself. We need to figure out what's actually going on. Nothing's going on. He doesn't love me. It's over. Maybe it's not. She met my eyes. Maybe there's more to this than he's telling you. And maybe you need to find out what that is. I started seeing a therapist, Dr. Chun. She was calm and patient and asked the kinds of questions I didn't want to answer. Tell me about the week before he asked for the divorce, she said in our second session. Was there anything different? Anything unusual? I thought about it. He was quieter than usual, I said. He came home late a lot. I assumed it was work. It's always work. Did he seem anxious? Distracted? I trailed off. He seemed resigned, like he'd already made up his mind about something, and he was just waiting for the right time. Waiting for what? I shrugged. I don't know. Maybe for me to notice. Maybe for me to fix it. Dr. Chin nodded slowly. And when he finally told you, his reason was that he wasn't happy? Yes. But he couldn't give you a specific reason why? He said we'd both been going through the motions. I laughed bitterly. He said I wasn't really happy either, which is insane because I was perfectly happy, that I was comfortable. I thought that was enough. Do you still think it's enough? I didn't answer. It took me 2 months to get to the point where I could leave the house without crying. 3 months to go a full day without thinking about him. 4 months to finally delete his number from my phone, though I knew it by heart. I'd always known it by heart. And 5 months to get to the part where I started to get angry. Joy introduced me to someone. His name is Caleb, she said. He's young, 22, but he's sweet, and he's got this thing where he's not afraid to say what he means, which I think you need right now. I don't need a boyfriend, I said. I need a job. I need a hobby. I need to stop eating takeout every night. You need to remember what it feels like to be wanted, Joy said. And a 22-year-old is perfect for that, because they haven't learned how to be emotionally unavailable yet. I agreed to meet him, mostly to get Joy off my back, partly because I was curious. Caleb was surprisingly not terrible. He had messy brown hair and the kind of easy smile that made you want to smile back. He was a barista at a coffee shop near my place, and he'd apparently spotted me a few times and asked Joy about me. Married, he'd said, apparently. Divorced? That's fine. That's totally fine. I'm not looking for anything serious anyway. How refreshing, I said flatly when Joy told me. I'm 35 years old. I'm not looking for a hookup with someone who can't legally rent a car. You're 38, she corrected. And he's got a car. Just go on one date. One. If it's terrible, you never have to see him again. I went. Caleb was sweet, the way young people are sweet when they don't know better. He asked about my day. He picked up the check. He held the door open for me. He didn't try to tell me he loved me or that I was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. He just talked to me like I was a person, like I wasn't defined by the man who'd left me. At the end of the night, he walked me to my door. Can I kiss you? He asked. I don't want to presume, but I'd really like to. I almost laughed. You're allowed to just do it. That's how it works. I'd rather ask. His eyes were earnest. I want you to want it. Something in my chest cracked open. I let him kiss me. It was fine, gentle, polite, nothing like the frantic, desperate kisses Ethan and I used to share in the early days. But it was fine. It was something. And then I heard footsteps behind me. Ethan was standing at the bottom of the steps. He was wearing his work clothes, blue scrubs, white coat, stethoscope around his neck. He looked like he'd just gotten off a shift and come straight here, like he'd been driving without thinking about where he was going. His eyes were fixed on Caleb's hand on my shoulder. Caleb, I said, stepping back. This is my husband. Ex-husband. Ethan corrected. Your ex-husband, Caleb repeated. He didn't look surprised. He looked like he'd been expecting this. I should go. Nina, call me if you want to. Go, I said. I'll call you. Caleb left. I didn't watch him go. Ethan climbed the steps slowly, one at a time. When he reached the landing, he stopped. We were close enough that I could smell him, that familiar mix of antiseptic and coffee that used to make me feel safe. What are you doing here? I asked. I don't know. He laughed, a hollow sound. I was driving. I was thinking about you. And then I was here. You don't get to do that. My voice was shaking. You don't get to show up at my house at 11 p.m. and pretend like you still care. You ended this. You chose this. I know. His jaw tightened. I know. And I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Didn't mean to what? Hurt me? Too late. I crossed my arms. I'm moving on, Ethan. I'm trying to move on. And I need you to let me do that. He didn't say anything. He just stood there, looking at me like he'd never seen me before. Are you seeing him? He asked. The young guy. Are you seeing him? Does it matter? Yes. Then yes. I lifted my chin. I'm seeing him. He's 22 years old, and he asked permission to kiss me, and it's the most respect I've been shown in months. So yes, I'm seeing him. Ethan flinched. Actually flinched. I'm not trying to make you jealous, I said. I'm trying to move on, the way you wanted me to, the way you said we both should. So don't stand here and look at me like I'm the one who's wrong. Nina, go home, Ethan, or go back to the hospital. Go find Chloe's cat. Go find Chloe. I don't care. Just go. He didn't go. He came back the next night and the night after that. He didn't call, didn't text. He just showed up like he expected to find me waiting. And the thing is, I was part of me. The part that still remembered what it felt like to be loved by him. The part that still woke up reaching for someone who wasn't there. But I didn't let him in. I didn't let him see me cry. I didn't let him see the whiskey bottles I'd hidden in the back of the closet, or the marks on the wall where I'd thrown things, or the way I still slept on my side of the bed because I didn't know how to sleep anywhere else. Let me be honest with you, Joy said one evening. We were at my kitchen table, eating takeout Chinese from the place I'd been ordering since college. I think he's hiding something. Who? Caleb. Ethan. She pointed a chopstick at me. He didn't just wake up one day and decide to leave you. There's something he's not telling you. Something that made him push you away. He told me he's not happy. He wants to be single. Case closed. Bullshit. She put down her chopsticks. Nina, the man is miserable. You should see him. He looks terrible. He's lost weight. He's getting gray hair. You've been talking to him? Maybe. A little. He called me. He asked if you were okay. Great. So now he's using you to keep tabs on me. Nina. She grabbed my hand. I'm not saying you should get back together with him. I'm not saying you should forgive him, but I am saying you deserve to know the truth. And I don't think you have the whole story. I stared at her for a long moment. What do you think he's hiding? I asked. I don't know, she admitted, but I think you should find out. So I started paying attention. Not to Ethan, not directly, but I started paying attention to everything around him, the pieces of the puzzle I'd been too hurt to see before. The way Chloe looked at him when she thought no one was watching, the way he stepped back whenever she got too close. The way he mentioned once, in passing, that he'd been seeing someone for a few months, a therapist apparently, but wouldn't say why. And then there was the cat. Ethan had always liked animals. He'd loved Mr. Whiskers. He cried with me when we put him down, but he'd never shown any special attachment to anyone else's pet. He was a doctor. He knew how to keep his distance from patients, human and animal alike. So why did Chloe's cat matter so much? I found out 3 weeks later. I was at the hospital, picking up some paperwork I'd left at his office months ago. I'd asked him to hold on to it, since our divorce wasn't finalized yet. He was in surgery, so his office was empty. I grabbed the file and was about to leave when I saw a note on his desk. It was written in Chloe's handwriting, and I recognized it because she'd signed my own discharge papers once, when I'd come in with a minor infection. Her loops were distinctive, big, round, almost childlike. The note said, Ethan, asterisk, I wanted to say thank you for everything. For Luna, for being patient with me, for not treating me like I'm just another resident. Asterisk. Asterisk, I know you're going through a lot, and I know you said we can't see each other outside of work. But I want you to know that if you ever change your mind, I'm here, asterisk. You're the best man I've ever known. See. I read it 3 times. And then I started laughing. Not happy laughing. Not sad laughing. The kind of laugh that happens when you realize you've been wrong about everything, and the truth is somehow stupider than you ever imagined. Ethan hadn't left me because he was having an affair. He'd left me because he'd just discovered he had a fertility condition that made it almost impossible for us to have children, and he'd convinced himself I was better off without him. I found the rest of the story over the next few days, the doctor's notes in his laptop, the consultations he'd gone to without me, the way he'd been grieving a future he thought we'd never have, all by himself. And because he was Ethan, because he'd always been Ethan, he decided the solution was to let me go. To let me find someone else. Someone who could give me what he couldn't. I should have been angry. I was angry at first, furious. How dare he make that decision for me? How dare he take away my choice? How dare he decide I'd be better off without him, without even asking me what I wanted? But then I remembered the way he'd looked at me in the kitchen that night, the way his voice had cracked when he said he loved me, the way he'd let me go, even though it was killing him. And I knew what I had to do. I waited for him outside his apartment the next day. He looked terrible, exactly like Joy had said. Dark circles under his eyes, collar unbuttoned, a shadow of a beard he hadn't bothered to shave. Nina, he stopped short when he saw me. What are you? I found the doctor's notes. I held up the folder I'd taken from his office. Your laptop, the whole thing. I know why you really left. The color drained from his face. You shouldn't have. Don't. I stepped forward. Don't tell me what I shouldn't have done. Don't tell me I was supposed to stay in the dark while you made decisions for both of us. That's not how marriage works, Ethan. That's not how anything works. He didn't speak. He just stood there, frozen, looking at me like I was something he'd never see again. You're an idiot, I said. A complete, total idiot. You thought I'd leave you because we couldn't have kids? You thought that's what I wanted more than you. Nina, I've known you for 17 years, I said. We've been through everything, and you thought I'd throw that away? You thought I'd abandon you because of a diagnosis you never even gave me a chance to hear? I could see him breaking. His eyes were wet. His jaw was tight. I didn't want you to choose, he said finally. I didn't want you to have to decide between a life with me and a life you'd always wanted. I thought if I just left, if I just made it easy, you'd move on, you'd find someone else, you'd be happy. You decided for me. My voice shook. You made the choice and didn't even let me be part of it. And you know what? That hurts more than anything, more than the diagnosis. More than the idea that we might not have children, because it means you don't trust me. IT means you don't think I know what I want. I do trust you. He stepped forward. I trust you more than anyone. That's the problem. I love you so much I couldn't stand the thought of you being stuck with me. Of you waking up one day and hating me because I couldn't give you everything. I don't hate you. I reached for his hand. I never hated you. Did I hate the idea that you thought you had to suffer alone, that you thought I wouldn't want to suffer with you? Because that's what marriage is, Ethan. It's not happiness all the time. It's showing up when things get hard. It's choosing each other, even when it's not easy. He was crying now. I'd only seen Ethan cry twice. Once when his mother died, and once when he told me he'd missed the birth of his nephew because he was stuck in surgery. This was the third time. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry, Nina. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought. I know what you thought. I pulled him into a hug. You're an idiot, but you're my idiot, and I'm not letting you go that easily. I don't deserve you. Probably not. I laughed, messy and wet, but you're stuck with me anyway. We spent the rest of the night talking. Not about the diagnosis. Not yet. That would come later, though we talked about the things we'd stopped talking about over the last few years, the distance that had grown between us. The way we'd both been going through the motions, pretending everything was fine while slowly building walls. I thought about Chloe sometimes, he admitted. Not as a replacement, not as a mistress, but as a reminder of what it felt like to be young and uncomplicated, to not have so much history between us. I thought about your assistant, I admitted, the one with the red hair. I thought maybe you were... Never. His eyes were clear. Never. You're the only one, Nina. You've always been the only one. I believe you. Good. He took my hand, because I have to ask you something. Something I should have asked you months ago. Ask. Will you marry me again? I stared at him. I know that's ridiculous, he said. You're still my wife. Technically, legally, but I didn't ask you the first time because you made the choice that I asked you, because everyone expected me to. We were young and it was what you did after college. Did I think I wanted to marry you, but I didn't really know why not then, now I do. And what's the reason? Because you're my home, he said. Because without you, I'm just a doctor with an empty apartment and a complicated past. Because I love you, and I think I've always loved you, and I was too proud to admit that it was the only thing that mattered. I kissed him. It was messy and salty and wet, and we were both crying, and it wasn't anything like the fairy tales I'd grown up with. But it was real. It was ours. I'll marry you again, I said when we broke apart. But only if you promise to stop making decisions for me. Only if you promise to let me in next time. Only if you trust me enough to be part of the hard stuff. I promise. He pressed his forehead to mine. I promise, Nina. I promise. We didn't go back to the way things were. We couldn't. Too much had happened. Too many walls had been built and broken down. But we started over. Slowly. Carefully. One day at a time. I never did find out what happened to Chloe. She was transferred to a different hospital, and I didn't ask for details. Ethan said he'd handled it. That was enough for me. And the cat? Luna? Ethan told me the full story one night, months later. She was the closest thing to a child she'd ever had, he said. Claire's cat. And watching her with Luna, watching her worry about her, take care of her, cry when she was sick, I realized what I was taking away from you. The chance to be a mother. The chance to have that kind of love. You weren't taking anything away, I said. You couldn't have. That wasn't your decision to make. I know that now. I didn't know it then. I just saw you, and I saw her, and I thought. You thought you were doing the right thing. I kissed his cheek. You always think you're doing the right thing. It's your worst quality and your best. Is that a compliment? It's the truth. And it's why I married you. And why I'm going to keep marrying you. I smiled. One wedding at a time. 2 years later, I got pregnant. Not intentionally. We'd stopped trying, stopped hoping, stopped letting it define us. And then one morning, I woke up nauseous, and 3 pregnancy tests later, I was standing in the bathroom, staring at my reflection, unable to believe what I was seeing. "Ethan," I said, walking into the kitchen, "you need to sit down." "Is something wrong?" "Nothing's wrong." I held up the test. "I am pregnant. You're going to be a father." He stared at the test for a long time. Then he started crying. Again. "Are you serious?" he asked. "You're serious? This is real." "This is real." I laughed. "This is real, and you're going to be a great dad, and we're going to figure this out together, and you're never going to leave me again." "I'm never going to leave you," he said. "I'm never going to leave you." The baby was a girl. We named her Grace. Grace for the second chance we never thought we'd get. Grace for the way she'd walked into our lives when we'd stopped waiting. We told Joy first. "Of course you got pregnant after you stopped trying," she said. "That's always how it works. You have no idea how lucky you are." "I know exactly how lucky I am," I said. "I've always known." And I had. Because love wasn't about the big moments, the weddings, the proposals, the dramatic reconciliations. That IT was about the small ones, the quiet mornings, the hard conversations. The decision every single day to choose each other, even when it wasn't easy. Especially when it wasn't easy. About how I married my childhood sweetheart, well, college sweetheart, and we built a life together. About how he tried to leave me for a reason that wasn't really true. About how I found him again and we rebuilt everything piece by piece. It's not a perfect story. It's messy and complicated and full of the kind of mistakes that could have ended us. But it's ours. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. The pregnancy was supposed to be our fresh start. I told myself that every morning when I woke up with nausea, every afternoon when I forced myself to eat something other than crackers, every night when Ethan came home and pressed his hand to my stomach and whispered things I couldn't quite hear. We were going to be fine, that we were going to be better than fine, that we'd survive the worst of it, and now we were building something new. But old habits die hard, and so do old fears. Ethan started coming home late again, not every night, but often enough that I noticed. He said it was a new research project, a collaboration with another hospital, something that required long hours and early mornings. That I wanted to believe him, that I needed to believe him. Because if I didn't, then I had to face the possibility that the past 18 months had been a lie. And I wasn't ready for that. Not with a baby on the way. Not with a nursery we'd just started painting. Not with the ultrasound photos taped to the refrigerator, like some kind of talisman. "You're overthinking this," Joy told me over lunch. "He's a doctor. He's a surgeon. He works long hours. That's not new." He stopped working long hours when we got back together. He said he'd cut back. He said he'd be home more. People change. Circumstances change. Maybe this research project is important. Or maybe he's seeing someone else. Joy put down her fork. "Nina, you can't do this to yourself. You can't go down that road again. You've been through this. You know he loves you. You know he chose you." I know what he told me. I don't know what he's doing when I'm not there. Then ask him. Ask him outright. Don't let it fester. She was right. She usually was. But asking meant being vulnerable, and vulnerability was something I'd sworn off after the divorce. I'd rebuilt myself with a hard shell, and I wasn't ready to crack it open just because I was carrying his child. I didn't ask. Instead, I started paying attention to the little things. The way he'd silence his phone when he walked through the door. The way he'd take calls in the other room, his voice too low for me to hear. The way he'd come home smelling like perfume, something floral and expensive that I definitely didn't wear. I cataloged every detail like evidence in a trial. That I told myself I was being paranoid. That I told myself I was hormonal. I told myself I was projecting my insecurities onto a man who had already proven his loyalty. But the perfume didn't lie. 3 weeks later, I found out where it came from. Ethan was in the shower. His phone was on the kitchen counter, and it buzzed with a text from an unsaved number. I shouldn't have looked. I knew I shouldn't have looked. But my hand moved before my brain could stop it. "Asterisk, can you come by after 9? I need to show you something. It's important. Chloe, asterisk." Chloe! The name hit me like a physical blow. The resident, the one he'd sworn was just a colleague, the one he'd said was transferred to another hospital, the one who'd written him that note about being the best man she'd ever known. I stared at the screen for a full minute, waiting for the next message to arrive, waiting for an explanation that never came. When Ethan came out of the bathroom, I was still standing there, his phone in my hand. "Who was this?" I asked, my voice flat. He saw the phone. He saw my face, and I watched the blood drain from his. "Nina, that's not what you think." "Then what is it? Because I'm looking at a text from your ex-resident asking you to come over at 9 p.m., and you're telling me it's not what I think." "It's not." He reached for the phone. "Let me explain." "Explain what?" I stepped back. "Explain why she's texting you? Explain why you're hiding it? Explain why you've been coming home late and smelling like her perfume." "Her perfume." He blinked. "Nina, I don't. I know what I smell. I know what I see. And I know what I've been ignoring for months because I was too scared to face the truth." "You're wrong." His voice was shaking. "You're wrong about everything. Chloe and I, we haven't been in contact. Not since she left. I haven't seen her, haven't spoken to her. This is the first time she's reached out in over a year. And you're telling me you just happened to get a text from her tonight? After all this time?" "Nina, I don't know why she's texting me. That I swear I don't. But I'm going to find out." He grabbed his keys. "I'm going to go see her. I'm going to find out what she wants. And then I'm coming back here and we're going to talk about this. And you're going to see that nothing is going on." "Don't." My voice cracked. "Don't go. If you walk out that door, I'm not going to be here when you get back." "Nina, I mean it. I can't do this again. I can't watch you leave. I can't wait for you to come back and tell me it was all a misunderstanding. I've done that. I've done that, and it almost destroyed me. He stopped. His hand was on the doorknob. His knuckles were white. I love you, he said. I love you more than anything, and I'm coming back. But I need to know what's going on. I need to handle this. For us. He left. And I sat down on the kitchen floor and cried until I couldn't breathe. I called Joy. She picked up on the first ring. He's gone, I said. He went to see her. Chloe. She texted him, and he went. He went to see her? The resident. Who else? He said it's been a year, but he went. He picked up his keys and walked out the door. Nina, where are you? Are you okay? I'm on the floor. I'm on the kitchen floor, and I can't get up. I don't want to get up. Don't move. I'm coming. I'll be there in 10 minutes. But I didn't stay on the floor. I got up and I started packing. I didn't know where I was going I just knew I couldn't stay. Not in the house we bought together. Not in the room we'd painted for a baby that might not have a family. Not anywhere that reminded me of him. I threw clothes into a suitcase. I grabbed my wallet, my phone, the ultrasound photos from the fridge. And then I stopped. What was I doing? I was 7 months pregnant and I had nowhere to go, and I had a car that was barely running and a bank account that was half his. I had a best friend who would take me in, but I'd already leaned on her so much that I was ashamed to ask for more. But I couldn't stay. I grabbed the keys and walked out the door. Joy caught me in the driveway. What are you doing? She demanded, pulling me out of the driver's seat. You can't just leave. You're pregnant. You're upset. You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking more clearly than I have in months. I tried to pull away. He left Joy. He went to her. He chose her. He didn't choose her. He went to find out why she texted him. That's not the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. He chose to leave me alone and go to her. That's the choice he made. Then wait. Wait until he comes back. Let him explain. And if you still want to leave after that, I'll drive you myself. I didn't want to wait. I wanted to scream, to break things, to disappear into a hole where no one could find me. But Joy's grip was firm, and her eyes were steady, and I didn't have the strength to fight her. Fine, I said. I'll wait, but I'm not going back inside. We sat in the car for 2 hours. Ethan came home at 11 p.m. He looked exhausted, not like a man who'd been having an affair, but like a man who'd been running on adrenaline and guilt. He found me in the driveway, still sitting in Joy's passenger seat, and he knocked on the window. Can we talk? He asked. Please, just give me 5 minutes. I got out of the car. Joy stayed behind, watching from a distance. Chloe has a sister, Ethan said. She's 7 years old. She has a rare form of leukemia, and she needs a bone marrow transplant. Her doctors don't think she'll make it. Chloe reached out to me because she thought I might be able to help. She said, I always find a way, that I'm the only person she knows who never gives up. I stared at him. That's why she texted you? Yes, that's why she texted me. He reached for my hand. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to worry you, and I've been consulting with her on my own time, trying to find a donor. I thought if I could help, if I could save her, then maybe I could make up for some of the pain I caused her, and I know that's stupid, and I know I should have told you. I was scared. Scared of what? Scared you'd see me helping her and think it meant something. Scared you'd think I still had feelings for her. I don't, Nina. I never did. She was a colleague, a friend, nothing more. And the perfume? The perfume. He laughed a hollow, disbelieving sound. That's from the hospital. There's a woman in the oncology ward who wears a ridiculous amount of Chanel. I've been spending time in her room because her husband's also a patient, and she needed someone to talk to. I didn't notice the smell. I don't notice smells. I'm a surgeon. We're trained to ignore everything except the patient. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe him so badly that it hurt. But the doubts were still there, scratching at the edges of my mind. You should have told me, I said. You should have told me about Chloe's sister. You should have told me about the oncologist's wife. You should have told me everything. I know. He squeezed my hand. I know, and I'm sorry. I thought I was protecting you. I thought if I kept things to myself, you wouldn't have to worry. But I was wrong. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. I looked at him for a long time,